I remain absolutely confident that this case will be solved, and I'm determined the person who murdered Stephen will be brought to justice.
Moments before that announcement, Adrian Blair walked out of Scunthorpe police station with his solicitor.
Although the pair was later released without charge, they were on bail and still under suspicion.
It's a horrible feeling believing that anyone could think that you'd done something that horrendous.
After their release, police heard about a poster that David Mason had put on the door of his room.
I personally saw the poster, and it was a Simpsons poster that David had pasted on his door. The words must have had some bearing on something that the police were interested in, because it was of sufficient interest for them to ask me to go and collect the poster and to hand it over to them.
In November, a third suspect from Leeds University was arrested. He'd also been present at the skydiving competition. He was never named, and after 2 days he too was released without charge.
Obviously we wanted a resolution to this, but I think one of my biggest fears was that somebody would be wrongly accused.
It seemed the police had run out of leads, and by January 2004, 7 months after Stephen's death, the forensics lab had made no headway either.
At that stage, the majority of the DNA testing was completed and hadn't really given any clear steer as to what had happened, and some of the cutting implements had been examined for fibres, but so far none had been found that matched the fibres from Stephen's chute.
The National Crime Faculty arranged a meeting of senior, experienced investigators from within the UK to attend an event in Scunthorpe, along with scientists, to talk about Stephen's case, to look at the way we're investigating it, to find out what help they could give us. Had we missed anything? Were there any new lines of investigation they could think of? Or was there any further expert advice?
As a result of the review, a decision was made to bring forward the examination of the scissors found in the boot of Stephen's car. They'd never been tested because police wrongly believed that they weren't capable of cutting the straps on Stephen's parachute. This misunderstanding turned out to be a huge mistake.
It was at this point that we had our first real forensic breakthrough in the case, and that when we came to look at the scissors, on the inner surfaces of the blades, they were covered in fibres that matched the cut straps on Stephen's parachute. The process we have at the laboratory for making sure fibres match is a very rigorous one. We look at the dye, we look at the fibre composition, so we can be confident that when we have a fibre match, it's a definite fibre match.
But who had used the scissors to cut Stephen's parachute straps?
The result we got back from that DNA testing was a clear profile matching Stephen Hilder, and there was no one else's DNA present. So we knew that Stephen had handled the scissors, and we knew that the scissors had been used to cut the straps. What we couldn't say for sure was that Stephen had used the scissors at the time they were cutting the straps. Now, it's quite possible that someone else had actually carried out that part of the action, but had been wearing gloves at the time.
But police were in no doubt. They now believed they were dealing with a suicide.
For me, the logical conclusion of that was that no other person was involved in the cutting of those straps.
But at the inquest into Stephen's death, those police assumptions would be called into serious question. And if Stephen had cut the straps himself, then what was the evidence of his state of mind? Were these the final moments of a man who knew he was about to take his own life?